So I think everything is working okay. Good afternoon. Hello. Totally different angle today. Inspire and be inspired. A live face-to-face interview, conversation. Myself, Mr. Todd Gardner. Brought Todd over to Spain to DJ last night at a Vocal Booth live sessions. And while I had him in my company, I thought we'd have a little chat face-to-face. Can you guys let me know that you can hear me okay, first of all? I'm sure there's one or two people going to be watching. Leave a comment. If you've got any questions for Todd, do let me know. My camera's all the way over there, but I have got my laptop here so I can see any messages that you care to send. It's about a 40-second delay, so just say hello so I can say hello back to you. Hello to you.
Hello.
Mr. Gardner. Remember to speak up a little bit. We've got a microphone here, so everything should be okay. Right, I'm seeing messages loud and clear. Thank you, Daniel.
Good.
Thank you, Danny. That's all good. Yeah, everyone's there. We're getting quite a few replies. All good, loud and clear. Hi, Danny. Hi, Emily. Mr. Badeau, Joanne, Trudy, Nana, Trudy T, Lady T, and Debbie as well. Nice surprise, Debbie. Yes, it was a nice surprise for myself as well. So I'll address you guys once in a while, but it's just going to be us talking, right? I don't want to jump forward too much. At some point in the conversation, whether you can pull it from the depths of your brains or whether I can, well, I know I can't. We need to ascertain exactly when we met. Probably not going to be able to put a finger on that, but we'll get there eventually. Yeah. So yeah, we've definitely known each other for over 20 years now in the music game. When I did get to know you, you were riding high out of the American house scene. You had already made a name for yourself as a producer. But tell us, where you believe that you would like to start your story with generally about growing up, where you grew up. I think if you tell us the year you were born, that'll help everyone relate to that as well in your timeline. And then just about life growing up, for yourself.
Gotcha. Thanks for having me, first of all.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm from New Jersey. Mm-hmm. Not from New York.
Did I just say New York?
No, you didn't.
Okay.
But
I keep questioning myself sometimes.
Later on, we'll come to why I had to say that. But
okay.
So I grew up middle class. I was born in 1970, so it was a great time to grow up.
Okay.
The world was fantastic.
Let me just ask you, that's the first time I've ever heard anyone say, I've grown up middle class. Because all of my friends in America, they always say, yeah, man, I'm from the streets, we're from the ghetto. So you're from a comfortable background.
Absolutely.
Then? Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and say, no, there's no streets. I mean, it was quite nice where I grew up.
Good.
Very middle class. Where do we begin?
Well, let me ask you a question then. I'll try not to ask too many questions. I'll let you tell the story how you want to tell it. But so when you say middle class, was that predominantly, because I don't really know New Jersey too much, was it a mixed neighbourhood? Was it a predominantly black neighbourhood, or you didn't get predominantly black mixed middle class, or is that as too much of a stereotype?
Where I grew up, it's a town called Piscataway, and it was completely mixed. Okay. The people that lived to the right of me, there was a Filipino father and a Jewish mother. The people that were to the left were black. The next house was Indian people. The next house was Italians, and then Italians.
Wow. So
and then there was
full-on cosmopolitan immigrants.
Absolutely. Right on my street, just, and then all around the neighborhood, it was just, that's how school was. My entire life was always just spent around everyone. And a lot of Indian people.
Okay.
Edison in Piscataway, New Jersey, there was a large influx of Indians in the late 70s and 80s. So I spent a lot of time with some Indian folk as well. So on Saturdays, I would go to their house. And this is why I like Indian food so much as well, because I would smell, the mother would be cooking, we watched the Bollywood stuff on TV. So I have that bit of culture from a very young age, which... I don't know how many other people my age in other towns even had that. It just happened that I lived on a street where there were some Indian people.
Right, okay.
So,
Makes sense.
But yeah, life was good. I have to say, growing up in Piscataway in that real mixed environment, it was fantastic. Now, from a musical standpoint, I would say 19. When did Planet Rock come out? Do you remember what year?
79, 80,
Okay.
possibly. I don't know.
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, I would say 79, 80. Well, I know that Rapper's Delight came out in 79, so maybe Planet Rock was maybe a couple of years after that. 82, maybe.
80, 81, something like that. Okay.
I'm sure I could Google it, but there's no
There's
point.
no point, yeah. Well, the point is that I saw this young guy who's actually younger than me DJing at my cousin's birthday party. My cousin was born on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
So he always had a big party. And we were little kids at the time. And I saw a younger kid, he had to be 9 years old, and he was DJing, and he had the turntables. Like, I had never seen this stuff before. So it was just amazing. I was like, wow. And the very next year, I got my first DJ set up, which was just, a little crappy turntable with another one. No mixer, no nothing. But it intrigued me to what I saw amazed me. And that's how it all began. When I was even younger, I used to listen to the radio, and when songs would come near the end, I would turn down the volume and make it fade out. Because I just liked the way records faded. So I would just do this when I was listening to the radio, just fade it out prematurely.
Okay.
So it's always been in me to do this. Like, it's really strange, but I just loved the sonic stuff. It's always been my thing. I started playing instruments in school when I was in elementary school, probably the clarinet or something like that. And when I got to middle school, I started playing trumpet. So, music has always been...
So your middle school would be from like 11 years of age? I would have called it senior school. I think they call it high school now in England.
Okay, 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
That means nothing to me.
Gotcha. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, but that's the... How old are you?
I don't know. 13 or 14, I guess.
Yeah, so that would be, for me, in England, that would have been senior school. From 11 years of age, you have junior school from like 6 till 11, then senior school, and then you carry on to sixth form and then university kind of thing. But that's all changed in England now.
Really?
Mate. Yeah, I don't even know because I haven't been there for 19 years. But I think it's high school and all this kind of whatever.
Yeah.
All you Americans poisoning our system.
That's what we do, man.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so anyone that's aware of the years what he's talking about, so maybe about 13, 14. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that is when I started playing trumpet, and I loved it. In high school, I continued playing horn and marching band. That was fantastic. I love marching band because, well, for many reasons, but one of the main reasons is we used to go on trips with the marching band. And in 1984, 84, ninth grade, we went to Ireland.
Okay.
The whole band. It's like 200 people because chaperones the band. And we marched in the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Wow.
And we won Best International Band in the St. Patrick's Day Parade. Like, it was fantastic. I mean, we went to nightclubs. We went to castles. So this is when I was 14 years old. So that was my first time out of the country, and that's my first time in, UK, Ireland.
It definitely enriches you as a person when you get to travel, experience these experiences, the ridiculous thing to say, the culture as well, and it just broadens your horizons, doesn't it? And it gives you that appetite for
absolutely
for more.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it really, and that sparked me to just like, I want to see this world. I want to see this world, and so. Musically speaking as well, I started going to nightclubs in 1985 in East Orange, Newark area. And I believe it was 85 when I started going to the Zanzibar because they had a teen night on Sundays, if you could believe that. And it was just, I think Tony Humphries used to DJ that teen night. He did. And it was just like kids. If you could imagine a bunch of young kids going to hear Tony Humphries on a Sunday night. Like it sounds crazy, but
No, we've got the exact same references in Birmingham. I see my friend Justin commenting. We have this vague memory of going to a venue that was just as infamous in our hometown as Zanzibar would have been on a Sunday around about 14, 15 years of age, and hearing the really cool music, because it was just exactly the same era. And you're just like, how did that happen? How did we get? And we really struggled to piece together because we weren't really paying that much attention at the time.
Yeah, we're just living. Yeah, it didn't mean it. Yeah, it's just what we were doing.
So I could completely relate to your story is very similar to so many other people's around the world. You just don't realise it.
Exactly. I had no idea.
But except we weren't listening to Tony Humphries, but we would have been listening to the equivalent of Tony Humphries.
Yes.
It could have been someone like Paul Trouble Anderson, or a guy called Frenchie in Birmingham, or Colin Curtis, or these kind of people who are highly revered. But at the time, we didn't have the faintest idea who they were.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry,
Yeah,
I'll let you continue with the story.
Oh, it's all right. I mean, this is good because I just learned. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I thought it was a unique situation. It's not. So that's good to know. So yeah, I started going to these, when I was a young person, started to go hear this music, and I mean, that changed my life forever. Because my first time being around a loud sound system, that was just like, oh man, because if you can remember the first time you actually heard a loud sound system in a building,
no,
you can't remember.
No, it wasn't a defining moment for me. No.
Yeah, it was for me, man, because. I was like, wow, this is because it's a totally different experience, one that I've never had in my entire life.
And I would guess just sitting listening to you wouldn't have this. Or okay, I'm putting words into your mouth. As you say, you were from a middle class area. You wouldn't have had the block parties and things like that in New Jersey. So that would have been a lot more important there, or a lot more breathtaking than the people in New York City, in Brooklyn, who were getting to see the block parties and the street parties.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, it blew my mind, and I said, "Wow!" I really, really. At this time, I was still, I was DJing a little bit, doing my first real party was in '84 for a high school dance.
Okay.
Before that time, from the age of 11 until 14, I was getting my skills together as a kid, and. So
when you say getting your skills together, what did you class as skills? The selection, or because you weren't beat matching with no mixer?
No. Well, the first year I didn't have a mixer, but I got a Radio Shack mixer. Okay. The second year. Yeah, exactly. The VUs, and it didn't have the crossfader though. Mine was just the and you couldn't listen to both things at the same time. You could only hear one track at a time in your headphone. So and the turntables I had. When I first started, I mean, one was like a little kid's turntable, and the other one was my parents' stereo at first. And then I got SL B200 Techniques, belt drive turntables. And that you couldn't tell me anything. I was like, this is it.
What was the platter like? Was it a wobbly?
Oh, it wasn't wobbly. It was wobbly. And we used to get the cardboard, cut the cardboard out, put the hole in the middle, put it on so it slipped. This is, I didn't have slip mats. We just worked with what we had. And man, that was, anyway, some good times. But that's what getting my skills meant. Like buying records, what's it, Al Nashif and It's Time. Like
Fish.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. At this time, as you know, there was no house music. It literally didn't exist. It was, so we did the rap music at that time. That's what I was doing. Mm-hmm. There was no dancehall reggae. There was no house music. There was no that stuff didn't exist. So it was the end of disco, and then you had soul funk, and then you had this Kraftwerk music, which changed the whole world. And then Soul Sonic Force did what they did with it, and then later on, the brothers in Detroit got their hands on it. But I started out as a rap music DJ because that's what there was, and it was cool. And then this house music thing happened when I started going to the Zanzibar and hearing this music, and fantastic. So that's the very loose summary of how I got to be started with the dance music, and yeah.
So when did you first? When do you remember first venturing further afield? Would it have been into Manhattan for the biggest thing that you would have gone to, or was it only around Newark and places like that?
No, it was New York. It was New York. We first started going to Club Mars on the West Side Highway, and this is very early. Red Zone, Mars. I think the tunnel was open at that time. Union Square had.
Do you have memories of who the DJs were then? Were you paying that much attention? Because my early days going to the clubs, I didn't have the faintest idea. I was so focused and in love with the music, but it's only afterwards that I was educated on who the DJs were at these venues. You know,
Yeah.
When I understand how passionate I became about music and a DJ myself, it surprised me that I was so ignorant, if that's the right word. It was just, for me, it was about the great music and the girls. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was it. So, so I asked you about the DJs. Were you aware of them?
I was. Well, especially the Red Zone, because I'm sure if I say Red Zone, you probably even know who the DJ was.
Well, I was thinking Morales immediately.
Exactly.
Red Zone.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everyone knows. So Morales, there's a guy named Roman Ricardo at the Tunnel. At Mars, it was different people. Mars was an interesting club. It was multi-leveled. And there was a lot of what we call club kids, like real flamboyant type of.
Yeah.
It was an interesting time at that. It was very, very strange, but it was cool. I liked it. I was not a guy who used to go to the old church, the Limelight. I wasn't a Limelight guy. Not because I didn't want to be, but I just never did it. Save the Robots, I didn't do that either. But the Red Zone, going to hear Morales there, and the actual club, the lighting and stuff was state of the art. So every time you went into the Red Zone, it was just like, oh, this is like being catapulted into another universe. It's fantastic. And then at the Sound Factory with Junior Vasquez, and that was just, if you're going to do 8 hour. You're doing an 8 hour night.
Was there alcohol in your life at this point?
Barely.
No.
Nah, it wasn't. I mean, whatever. We drink some beers, but nothing crazy.
So from your perspective, going to places like that, so we're talking what, 17, 18?
Yeah, 18, 19 years old.
So were you aware of a huge drug scene in the clubs at that time, or is it very underground? Because I know there was a lot of focus on the music. We hear the stories time and time again. Was it apparent to you that there was this other thing going on?
Believe it or not, no. I'm very oblivious to a lot of things. My focus was the sound, the lighting.
Well, that's why I asked the question,
Exactly.
Because it could easily go under the radar.
Yeah, for me it did. And it depended on which type of club you went to. Because if you went to a club that was more black and gay, it was different than a club that was more with the club kids.
Yeah.
It was just a totally different thing. So I could see that people were acting a bit more strange with the club kids. But I didn't even know about the drug. Like, I didn't mean anything to me. And I literally can tell you that until I was an older adult, I never tried any drugs at all. Nothing. And at some point in time, I tried some weed. I was like, oh, okay. Now I understand what this is about. But literally, I went years of DJing, going to clubs, traveling, never did anything. And then when I did, I was like, oh, I get it. Now I understand why the music and this goes together. But it wasn't that I was opposed to doing it. I just wasn't interested. And that's it. It was no more than just a lack of interest.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm not, whatever.
Yeah, no, that's good to know. I'm just checking up, making sure everything's going well. Hi Lou, Luby Lou was with us last night. She's flown back home today, so she just landed. It's absolutely freezing, in the UK. Dave Fur's around the corner. Hello, dudes. Fernando watching as well, saying good afternoon. And Thomas is saying hi.
Oh, Tomas, yeah.
He's saying
up
hi
in
to you.
Reykjavik.
So hi everybody. Do please let us know if there's any issues, any sound issues, but everything looks to be absolutely fine here. So we got up to kind of Limelight, Red Zone, Morales. So did you become did you used to make pilgrimages then for Morales? And
Yeah.
well, actually, one question I wanted to ask you, because you know, I can't have this conversation with you without drawing reference to the legend that is Mr. Lenny Fontana, who's been, you know, putting together the timeline of this so perfectly. And you can see so many different interviews of different perspectives on that. You hadn't mentioned anything about radio at this point. Was radio a big part for you and educating you on the music?
Absolutely. Again, we go to John Roberts, because John Roberts had his radio show WBLS, and it was the midday mix. So the fact that it was in the middle of the day, everyone else was late night, but John Roberts was in the middle of the day. So everyone looked forward to this John Roberts program. Timmy Regisford had a show. Obviously, Tony Humphries, he had this show for many, many years on KISS. Let's see, Tony, Merlin Bob. Yeah, so Merlin Bob, Timmy, Tony Humphries, and the other person I forgot, but
Timmy.
Yeah, Timmy. Yeah, exactly, Timmy. So, yeah, this radio thing. I mean, like when we were children, we used to make tape Mr. Magic shows every week. It would be Red Alert on KISS, and it would be Chuck Chill Out, and then you had on BLS you had Mr. Magic and Marley Marl. So, you know, we were with the pause button, bam. As soon as the commercials come on, turn it up. Yeah, I mean, this is just what we had to, you know, and you know how we did.
Yeah. So were you ever a razor and tape guy?
No, I was not. Nah, I didn't get that deep, but I was good with that pause button though. I was good with the pause, but yeah, man, it was without the radio and hearing this stuff every week, I don't know what life would have been like. But I mean, we lived for the weekend, waiting to hear what was new, and yeah, man, it was a very, and Tony's show for me. Tony is my DJ. When I think DJ,
Messiah.
Exactly. Yeah, he's the, you know.
Yeah.
And the reason why you have people like Timmy and you have the other cats from New York, but not taking anything away from Morales or these other guys, but Tony, the programming, the way he programmed, and the seamlessness of what he did was just, it's just 8 hours of seamless, just like water, you know.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. So you know that's what I really liked. Junior Vasquez is, you know, this is a little bit different sound, different crowd. Morales was also, yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was a bit surprising. I've said it a few times. I was a big fan of Vasquez for a long time because he had that little bit more edgier sound.
Exactly.
But then his you know, some of his productions were really, and I loved the whole I guess for us over here, the mystery behind him. He was this larger than life character, and you hear all the tales about his 15-hour sets and he's pissing in a bucket, and you know, all of these little things that added to the legendary of the legend of Junior Vasquez. You know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, back to your story. So
you're
talking about the DJs who influenced you and you followed. So then when you started moving into the city, into Manhattan and things like that.
Exactly. So yeah, while at the same time still always Zanzibaring it, you know. We had Club 88 in East Orange, Zanzibar in Newark, and in Patterson they had a club that I didn't used to go to, but it was very influential as well. Because Adiva's from Patterson, by the way. Yeah, Newark, East Orange, Essex County. This is
so at this point in your life, are you kind of school friends or, you know, childhood buddies with anyone that would later become a household name? You mentioned a DJ earlier that you were on the phone to, and I thought, well, I wonder if you were hanging with these. I'm sounding all American now. Were you hanging with these cats back in the day?
Sound good doing it.
Yeah.
No. In this case, DJ Dove. I didn't used to hang with him back in the day, but I'm trying to think. Well, yes. Let me take this back to the mid '90s. I'm gonna go up, but I can come back again. Actually, Harry Romero and Junior Sanchez were from towns that surrounded my town, South Plainfield and Edison. And Junior Sanchez, when he got into it, he was really young. So I met these guys in like '96, I think. So yeah, and we just been buddies ever since.
Yeah, but that's still relatively later on.
Exactly,
That's
exactly.
not far after that we would have met.
Exactly, it's not.
You
It's
know.
not. It's not. I'm trying to think of. No, I wasn't really hanging with.
Well, okay. If there isn't there
yeah.
anyone that springs to mind? Because somebody would say, "Oh yeah, Disciple and I were like tight or whatever." So yeah. So let's carry on with the story. Then.
Yeah.
So,
There was nobody that I can think of right now. I know there is somebody, but
yeah. It's always going to do it.
It's
We
always-
apologise in advance that he's forgotten his best friend in the world.
yeah, I think that there were. Yeah, well, there was definitely some folk, but I don't know who they are. But anyway, as we continued after into the early '90s, my first time coming to London was the year that the Ministry of Sound opened.
Okay.
Whatever year that is.
You're going to put me on the spot now. I really should know it. I want to say 92 or 93. It could even be earlier than that.
Could be earlier, yeah.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I should know. I do know, but it's gone out my head.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so.
When I came over, I came over because all right. Let's rewind.
Yeah, because I think we haven't got into
Yeah.
you getting,
I went. Let's take it back to university. So when I first started university, I went to University of Miami for 1 year, and then I left there. And then I started to go to a local community college, and then I went to school in Long Island for music business. That's what the degree was for. And at the same time, I also started interning at Strictly Rhythm.
Okay.
So this has to be in the early '90s, like real early '90s. I used to work there like 3 days a week.
That's crazy that I've either forgot that or I never knew that.
You never knew, yeah. It's funny. I don't even talk about it, but yeah, I used to work with Gladys and with the crew, Mark and everybody, 3 days a week, and I used to help with promotion. I would make calls to radio stations, college radio stations. Track, how's the record doing, that type of thing. Which I met a guy who worked for Billboard magazine, and he had some friends in England. And myself, my buddy Josh, and another guy that I went to college with, Caesar, we took a trip for New Year, for New Year's to come to England.
Okay.
And we were able to stay with some family friends. My aunt used to work in customs, so she knew some people who lived in England, and she knew a guy who drove a taxi cab as well. So he drove us around. Like, it's crazy the way this whole thing happened. But while we were over there, since I worked for Strictly Rhythm, they connected me with some people in England as well.
Okay.
And at that time is when I met a guy named Lionel. It was Lionel and Richie. It was two guys. And
Lionel Richie.
like,
You sure you weren't taking drugs?
later, right? And they knew Rap Saunders
Okay.
at Black Market, and Rap then introduced me to his people, which were plenty. And this is where my first meeting with Phil Asher comes in.
Okay.
So Phil, he was like, "Yo, Phil, greatest guy. Come on, man, let's go. He took us to the labels, took us everywhere. And we even went and sat in the office of, I can't remember. She was a booking agent at that time, a very big booking agent in London. Well, I can't remember her name.
Nikki Trax.
Not Nikki Trax.
Anna. Wasn't Anna. I can't think. Oh, Lynn Cosgrove.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we sat down in Lynn's office, and Lynn said to me, she said, "Listen, I have a space for a DJ for New Year's Eve in the funk room. Do you have any records?" I was like, I only have, and of course, I had a little bit of records with me. I was like, I only have house music. And she's like, oh, all right, well, she's like, well, Phil, can you do it? Phil's like, yeah, of course. So, but that was my first trip to London. Phil took us around everywhere. I met that was amazing.
So you would have been Ladbroke Grove, Kensal Rise, always Strictly Wired, A&M, Virgin, all that. Yeah, we talk about that a lot, down the West End.
Yep. Promos.
Can you hear my stomach rumbling?
I heard that.
Yeah, I always do that, and I'm paranoid that it gets picked up on the microphone.
Nah, I don't think so.
Well, I just.
You just told everybody.
Now, yeah, I'm just about to break wind live on air. Don't worry about it. Don't mean to sour the interview or anything. You know what? As you know, I do a lot of these.
Yeah.
You can't beat the face-to-face interaction.
You can't.
Because when you're doing it virtually, I have to sit. I can't interject when I want to because there's that tight, small delay. But this is so much more enriching.
Absolutely.
I just want to let everybody know that.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So yes, this was my first time in London. Phil took us around.
And Jane Harrington says 91 for the ministry. So I think I knew it was within that 18-month, 24-month period.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that would have been their first New Year's Eve, actually.
Okay.
It was at the very beginning of the. So that's yeah. But yeah, man, Phil. Yeah. Mike is gonna pick that up, bro. I'm just saying.
I ate like 10 minutes before we started. That's crazy. Michelle, your pasta's killing me. Right, yeah. All right.
Yeah, so, and I think on that trip, or the next trip, Rap or somebody hooked me up with Rob Mello. And I brought my trumpet, and I did a record with Rob Mello. I literally have no idea what it's called, or anything, but
was it on Luxury?
Luxury.
Yeah.
It was, yes, black with white words on that time for Luxury. Because I remember sometimes it was red and white, and then it was black and white, I think. But yeah, it was on Luxury, exactly.
Yeah.
And that was crazy, because at that time, Rob was using Atari or something for his sequence. I mean, this is a long time ago. Tape machines and all that. But these guys, Rap and Phil, were the ones who really showed me around, and that changed my whole life, because at that time, Rap, his partner was Sam Webb. I don't know if you know Samantha Webb, but Sam, she used to do bookings.
Okay.
And Sam took me under her wing, and my first booking, like real booking, was in Switzerland, and she got that for me.
Okay.
At a place, I don't know. Well, but it was crazy because the gig, I was DJing, but I also had the trumpet in the booth. So I'd play some records, and then I would like do some improv over the record. So this is in the early 90s.
Yeah. So this is before it was the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know how many people had ever even done such a thing, but it was cool. But the people in Switzerland, they were looking like, what's this guy doing?
He's got his flugel horn.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's how it all started. My first real international gig was with Sam, and that was in Switzerland.
Okay, so what about is it just a natural progression into the producing, or were you already producing at this point?
I was not.
No.
No.
So when Rob invited you onto the track, then that made you thought, okay, I like this, I'm going to get involved.
Yes. Now I'm going to tell you the truth about my whole production thing that I don't normally tell people, but I'm telling you.
Ghostwriter, I'm going to say.
No, it's not even that. Since I'm a musician, I can make music. I know how to make music. But I never intended on really making music. I only made records to get DJ gigs. That's the reason I did it. It's not because I love making records. I did it to get DJ gigs because it was kind of obvious. Like, oh, okay. In the old days, you had guys like Tony that weren't producers and stuff. Hector Romero. There's a few guys who used to do this, but in general, the people that did it the best and the most were record producers. Yeah. So I said, okay, I'm just going to start making records. And it wasn't even necessarily a challenge to do so because I knew how to play chords and put music together. So I heard enough music. I've been doing this stuff for years. So I just started making music at DJ gigs.
So were you engineering yourself? You did.
Yeah.
You were programming everything.
I did everything myself. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's no mean feat, is it? Really, to just if you turn around and say, "Well, I didn't know what I was doing, and I just sat in and someone else did everything for me," then.
No, nothing like that. Because I had a lot of musician friends because I used to play trumpet. I got keyboard players, bass.
The stomach of mine is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it is making some serious noise, bro.
I don't know whether drinking any water is going to help or it's going to make it worse.
It might make it worse, right?
Anyway, I'm not going to reference it again, but if you hear my stomach going crazy, there's not much I can do about it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, man. So, where were we?
Yeah, you were talking about your first gig, producing, and then...
the production. Yeah, I started producing. I started to produce, and so making records, I know musicians. I knew plenty of musicians. Guitar, bass, everybody. So, for me, I just call my friends. Just come to the house, and I just say, play some stuff in this key, and that's how we made records. Like, it wasn't like a very serious thing. It was just like, all right, well, I know that I have to do this, so let's just make some records.
Off the top of your head, putting you on the spot, what kind of range would you say in total you've produced? In your
style?
Not style. How many records would you say you've produced or remixed? What kind of figure we're talking about? 20, 50? I don't know the answer to that. So
gotcha.
What would a rough figure you'd say?
Definitely more than 50.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. But most of which I don't have. If you ask me, put a gun in my head.
I don't own I own some fantastic music of yours, but I don't own a vast collection.
Gotcha.
I've got Louis and Kenny's records or Kerry's or something like that. I've got some of your great records, but I don't have a huge. So gotcha. I wasn't aware exactly how many you would say that you were involved with.
Yeah, at least 50 or more.
Okay.
But involvement means playing trumpet. Involvement means remixes. It means full productions. Mm-hmm. So, it's not...
So let's go back to your DJing gigs then. Without being very specific, were you commanding a fee that you couldn't believe you were getting away with, or did you start off at a lower level?
I started off lower level.
Relatively speaking.
Yeah, lower level. Yeah. Because for me, it was just a matter of... Let's just say getting in the door. It really was. Because I've always loved DJing, and I know that I could do it. So my whole thing is, well, if I believe I can do this so well, then other people will believe it if it's true. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the proof. So it was really just about getting me in the door. And Sam did that. She got me, like the gig, it was a place called Lake Neuchâtel. That's what it was. The Love Zoo is actually what it's called.
Okay.
My first gig in Switzerland. And, the people like what I did. I mean, it wasn't crazy fees, but, I mean, I was on an airplane coming from America to play in Switzerland. If you didn't give me a fee, what am I going to say? I just came to Switzerland to DJ. At this time, this was fantasy material. You know what I mean? This is just unbelievable that it's even possible to play records in another country. It was just fantastic. The whole concept of it was. So I wasn't thinking about crazy fees at all. That was never
be. And when you the conversations that we've had down the years, that's very apparent in your outlook and your attitude.
Yeah.
Just making sure that everything's working fine here. John Rogers comes along and he says good afternoon and commends you on your fantastic set yesterday.
Oh, thank you, John.
So, as have been a lot of people.
Thanks.
So so from the DJ booth into the producing, what would you say was the next kind of, maybe not pivotal is the right word, but a part and time, because we're talking 94, 95 times. We're getting close to the era that I would have met you in Miami.
Exactly.
So we would have obviously met in Miami at some point. I don't think I would have met you No, because you in New Jersey. I'd been to New York because I was already on the radio by then. So maybe we were aware we'd been talking, because back then it was I was quite industrious, reaching out to producers, getting to know them, making friendships with them. That's how I got to know so many people in Miami. Because I always remember you having a party in Miami and me coming and spinning for you. So I don't understand how that came about. Because I would have been in the same way of thinking that you were.
Yeah.
I was going over and playing for Bobby and Steve at the zoo parties, the Soul on the Beach at the Clevelander.
Yeah.
And then you did your small party, and it was so we were doing that for getting no money for it. And then I came and played for you. And at the end of the party, you gave me some money, and I was like, what?
Really?
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah. So that's the only reason I've got any time for you at all, because you gave
because I gave you some...
you gave me some money. So thank you. Thank you for that.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I'm so
I've been
let
trying
down.
to pay you back all this time. No, but seriously, because you did parties, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I question my memories. I've done so much, as we all have.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think, I'm not getting things mixed up. I'm not getting scenarios incorrect. I did definitely come and spin for you in Miami.
Okay.
At parties.
I believe you.
You did parties in Miami, right?
Absolutely.
You put on label parties.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely. You got me questioning myself.
But I don't remember. What yeah.
So you don't remember me coming and absolutely smashing your party I'm hurt. I'm absolutely hurt. Right.
I don't remember a lot, man. My memory is really faded. But that's another story. But yeah, so there is something important that we need to talk about in terms of this New York, New Jersey stuff.
Right. Okay.
This has to be brought up. As you know, I made a record with my buddy Anthony, who he lived across the way from me. A record called Do You Know House. Mm-hmm. And in that record, we just talked about a scenario of how house music was and stuff.
Well, when you say you did a record with your friend Anthony, remind me of that.
Okay, Anthony Good.
Okay.
Do You Know House was a record that came out on Dance Tracks. Mm-hmm. And, it's just Anthony talking, like doing the poetry.
Yeah, because I asked you last night. See, that's how... When you've been in the game for so long, you can't be expected to remember everything, and you forget things that are very, very obvious. Mm-hmm. So for some reason last night, I came up to you in the booth and I said, that isn't you on
exactly
talking, is it? Because I thought, but no, you said, I always knew it wasn't you.
Yeah.
For some reason last night, I was questioning myself.
Yeah, you asked him, you literally questioned me.
So Anthony Good on vocal.
Yeah, and in the record, we talked about stuff. About house music and stuff, and then he did a little shout out to a bunch of original house people,
which is always bad because you're always
gonna miss somebody
from somebody.
Absolutely, and he did or we did, but it's okay. But the thing about it is, there's always a New York / New Jersey when we talk about this stuff, and it needs to be a New York and a New Jersey, because New Jersey is not New York. No. The people are different. The air is different. The streets are everything is different. So
dare I say there's more soul in New Jersey?
You can say that.
I can say that. You can't say that, but I can say that, right?
Thank you for saying it.
There you go.
Yeah. And when it comes to house music, New York definitely obviously has its contribution, but New Jersey definitely has its contribution. Mm-hmm. So the fact that we always just throw Jersey people into New York as if we didn't have an experience that made us be what we are is a disservice to New Jersey people. Mm-hmm.
You're clearly very passionate about that for wanting to bring that up.
I have to bring it up because it's been my thing for many years.
Who would you say this is from across the water that people get this wrong, or are Americans guilty of that as well?
Not Americans, not as much as people across the water.
Yeah, because it was the same as me knowing someone for 3 years in Miami, and then them bringing me to meet someone and go, yo, this is my friend Andy, he's from London. And I'm like, no, I'm not. What are you talking about? London. I said, no. Oh, yeah, it's the same thing.
Exactly. It's the same exact scenario. Yeah, it's that type of thing. And the reason why your sound and what it's different. So New Jersey, just if I just say to you, Jersey house producers from back in the day, there's a long list. Kerry Chandler, so many people, and people just think they're from New York. They're not from New York. They're from New Jersey. So the reason I have to say this is because of this soulful element you speak of. It comes from a church thing.
Yeah.
And that is what made us be what we are. That's the reason why it sounds this way. And of course, Tony doing what he did, driving a certain type of music as well. But this soulful singing is, I'm going to say it's a Jersey thing. Not soulful, but this more of a church-based R&B. That's another thing. When you think about that early house music that Tony used to play, obviously he would play Chicago music as well, but some of the music was down tempo. It's just like sped up R&B. It's not. It's 116, and it's this kind of music. It's not. Yeah. It's a totally different thing. So, it's just important that people understand that Jersey has its own thing, and we have our own producers, and we have our own music. Like, for example, people in New York, if you live in the city, you live in buildings and you live in places, you have a lot of concrete. If you grew up in Essex County, if you didn't grow up in a building, many people didn't. They had houses. So we had backyards and front yards, a little bit of grass. So in the summertime, when we have a cookout, the music that we would play at the cookout in the backyard, your grandmama, your aunties, everyone is listening to this music. This is just our music, this club music, as we called it. This is just our stuff. It's not like something for the nightclubs necessarily. Yeah. It was just the music that everyone listened to.
Yeah, which is why it had to be a little bit more all-encompassing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It wasn't just electronic drum. It was electronic drums with a big lady singing on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a different thing. But it's just, I've been wanting to say this. This is the first time I had an interview to do it. So I've been wanting to say this. There's so many producers, singers, artists, DJs from New Jersey, and everyone just throws them into this New York thing. It's like, come on.
Well, I definitely hear what you're saying, but I'd also think you may be surprised at how much credit that people do give to Jersey. People are aware.
Okay, well that's good.
People definitely are aware. A lot of people who know the sound and know the history, they are aware of that, definitely. And you can hear it as well. And in all the press releases when they used to come out, I mean, you can see this collection here. I can pull out records and I've still got all of the inserts inside. So all of that always, there was a lot of weight to the Jersey heritage.
Yeah.
Most definitely,
Well, that's good.
Yeah. There you go.
Because because normally people say, "Oh, this is Todd from New York." I'm like, I'm not from New York. Oh, Kerry Chandler. Oh, it's great New York sound. No, it's not New York sound.
you have to give up in the end.
Jamanda. Oh, this is Jersey. Blaze. No, that's New Jersey. It's all
okay.
Jersey.
So you say that about Jamanda. So some of the early, going completely off topic, some of the early Jamanda, that's my Spanish coming out in me.
Yeah.
Was Spen involved with that, or am I getting completely wrong?
No,
Jamanda, is it, so you got Backroom Productions and obviously Basement. Backroom Productions is Jersey, right?
Backroom is Jersey.
That's Jamanda.
Yeah, and then you have
because
the
there was a Spen in Backroom Productions.
Yes.
A Spencer Richardson.
Spencer Richard, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly, but that's
because
not.
There was a time when I used to have the conversation, and I knew there was a difference.
Yep.
But then it gets confused. And then I think I might have even said on my radio show at some point, yeah, that's early Spen. And then, no, it's not. I know it's not, but you forget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's. Don't forget Burrell Brothers, New Groove. I mean, this is all Jersey. Burrell Brothers lived. I could ride my bike there in 15 minutes. Like these are suburban guys. We're just all suburban kids. There's no. Now you might think listening to New Groove and their music, oh, these guys from the street. No, these guys from the suburbs, man. They probably had a pool in the backyard. You know what I mean? Like this is not.
That's why some of the pressing sounded like it was underwater.
And I recently, I think if it may be true, but I heard that all that music they did it to a cassette on purpose,
right?
And then had it mastered
to give that quality.
Yeah.
Okay.
Terrible.
Brother C says good afternoon, and he looked at sets yesterday. Don't forget you've got mail. I'm assuming he sent you a record or some parts or something. If I know Charles.
Charles, that's my we first met at this year's vocal booth.
Okay.
Yeah, Charles, he's a great guy.
Good guy. All good guys. And Jane, who told us about 91 at the ministry, is saying she loved the set last night and she's looking forward to seeing you at Karen's party.
Ah, yes.
You know,
I'd heard
in Bedford. So we'll get to there. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Miami then.
Okay.
The aside from our relationship in Miami, the whirlwind that was the Winter Music Conference. Would you say you were quite established at this point? Still not really.
Not in the early years. No, not at all.
Was there a label and the label on the scene then? Did you have
my label in the very early years? No, but later on, I did a thing with Mission Records, but I had a record label called Mission Records, which was my first.
I remember Mission with the piano keyboard.
Exactly.
The path.
Exactly.
I remember it. I've got so many of them here. You know.
Which is also just something.
It's a keyboard as a path, isn't it?
Exactly.
I remember it vividly, and I haven't even researched that.
Yeah.
Because that for me, sorry to interrupt you, that for me is the golden period. I was really making a name for myself on the sound. I was championing that sound, myself and Patrick Smooth in Birmingham. You know, and of course you've got the guys in London with Trouble leading the way, and Bobby and Stevens, so many other guys. But in Birmingham, we were representing that sound, and I was fortunate enough to be getting them, and I think distributed by Strictly.
Exactly.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So you know, Anna, who was working for Strictly, was sending me all the bits and pieces. I actually came to New York in '97.
'97. Okay.
Yeah, and I met Mark in the offices, and he came and he looked at me and he went right there. He stood me up and he sized me up, and he went away and he came back with one of the big, I don't know what you would call them, fur on the collar. Coat,
really,
a wooden coat, big Strictly embroidered on the back. It was like, this is Andy from UK Radio. You got to look after him, and he really. And I felt so special.
Oh man,
I felt so
I
special.
know you did, bro.
There's a picture somewhere in here. The picture up there with Louis and Kenny on the wall.
Yeah.
That was when I went to their offices, and they made a huge fuss of me. And then we went back the next year, Michelle and I, and we got married in New York. We got married in Town Hall in Manhattan. Sorry,
cool.
I've just
I've
stolen your story.
No, it's good. It's good.
So yeah, I was talking about Miami, and you say you didn't feel you were established by.
No, not at that time.
No.
In the 90s, no, but in the early 2000s is when it all got better with the Do You Know House, and then a record on Stevie Soul's label. So what's it called? Soul Music. Yeah, Soul Music. Yeah. And at those times we would just have a cassette with some tracks on it. Stand.
I gotta do my belt. I gotta let some
let it all out.
Breathe down. This is the worst interview I've ever conducted in my life, and yet it's the best I've ever conducted in my life. You gotta have fun, yeah. So
absolutely.
You signed to Stevie.
Yeah.
Cassette.
Oh yeah, cassettes. Yeah, so yeah, we would just bring a cassette with some tunes on it and just hand them out, and then people would say, we want this. Like it was just easy like that back in those days. Poolside.
Yeah, the Fontainebleau.
Fontainebleau. You just just everybody hanging out. It was just.
So the people there with the little Walkmans have a quick listen to.
Exactly.
Some people who were playing would be fortunate enough to get a. I mean, that was where you knew someone really respected you, where you give them a test press and then they'd spin the record at the party.
Exactly.
Because you've got to have full confidence in what you're going to play.
Absolutely.
If you're playing a record.
Absolutely.
Without knowing what it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And a guy like Tony would be the guy, maybe not at the conference, but in the club, Tony would, if you brought him an acetate and it sounded halfway decent, he would play it. Because, I mean, you went through the trouble of making a record for him, you know what I mean? And So, but yeah,
Cool. Yeah, you so Stevie Middleton.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, my memory of all of what has happened is pretty shot. But at that time is when it started to bubble. You know, I had it was established.
Did you and in all of this time, did you have because I never even asked you, did you have a career?
No, that's the crazy thing. I was doing the music, and then I would do some part time, whatever. I did that for many years too.
Okay. So just paying the bills anyway you could.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a single guy. I had an apartment, sometimes with a roommate or whatever. It was cool. I was living my dream, which was to be able to do the DJ thing. Because at the end of the day, remember I told you I started making records to DJ.
Yeah.
So what I like to do the most is DJ. I don't like to be in the studio necessarily making records, but I mean
it's a means to an end, as they say.
Exactly. So my desire to do it is a means to an end. But DJing, I love it, man. And that's another thing I want to say, because I was talking to someone last night. I like the way it used to be, where the DJ would be up in the black corner somewhere or off to the side. I didn't get into this to be on a stage so you could look at me. I don't care about that.
Well, sorry for sticking the camera in front of your face last night.
Like literally, right?
Sorry about that. But yeah, I know I relate completely. I don't, I'm again. I keep bringing this about me, but as we all do, I really feel the music. I'd like to let myself go, and I'm forcing myself to do the show on camera at the moment, even though it's not necessarily what I enjoy doing when I'm DJing, because it could be seen to be too contrived, too false. I would much prefer to be. That's going to be a complete contradiction, because I'm putting myself on the screen every Sunday.
Yeah.
Whereas I also much prefer to in a club as well. It's like, all turn around, don't look at me.
Exactly.
There's nothing to see here. Just go about your business.
And since you brought that up,
Yeah.
that is why the vocal booth this year was so good for me. Because as you remember, the wind blew us into the building, but the DJ setup could not be turned around. I was looking outside, and everyone was behind me. So for me, this scenario never happens anymore. So it just happened to be that I got my dream setup, which is, don't look at me. Listen to the music. Even though people were, but since I didn't see them looking, it was all good. But this was cool for me.
I think, especially at Vocal Booth and our crowd, our people, I think you could, or people could quite easily go back to that setup, and you could say to the crowd, listen everyone, or even if you DJ'd, if someone thought about it, DJ'd and put the stack on the other end of the room, so everyone's facing the stack, because you need to be facing the stacks to get the sound.
To get the sound.
Maybe people could do that, because our generation, our people, they're not in awe of the DJ. They like to let the DJ know what's going on. And that was one of the things that was difficult at Vocal Booth this year, saying to people, look, I know how much you want to let the DJs know what a great time they're having, but you've got to keep it down. And then 30 seconds later, people are like, whoa! Are you listening to what I'm saying? So that's just, whether there's alcohol or just the passion, or the people just want to show you they love you.
Exactly.
So that whole kind of sidestepping conversation was about you. As much as you wanted to be a DJ, you weren't thirsty for the attention and the fame, so to speak. You just thrived off the energy that you got back.
Exactly. I like to be the puppet master of a large group, to be able to control the energy and make the people feel things. That's what I love about it, which is also why I DJ the way that I do.
Yeah.
Because I don't DJ in a linear fashion, as you know. It's up, down, all around, just on purpose. And if it gets too intense and it's too much dancing, then I bring it down again. And this comes from old school DJing.
I was just about to say, there must have been a point where you saw someone else do that, and you thought, oh, right, okay, I see the dynamics how that works.
Absolutely.
Again, you know, I usually wouldn't be this interactive when I'm talking to someone virtually, but it brings me back to a couple of years ago. I saw Louis Vega playing in Greece, and he played for like a 6-hour set or something.
Yeah.
But there was very much peaks and troughs, high of highs, and then he'd kind of like strip it back.
Exactly.
And it's even a case of, okay, so I know these people are tired, you know, especially some of them are older. Nowadays you're going to go have a cigarette break or whatever, so I'm going to bring it back, then the drums, strip it out, and then bring it back down, give everyone a breather. And it was sort of like, it reminded me of why and how I fell in love with what he does, because it's been such a long time, and there's so much talk online at the moment about all these festivals and events, people having hour slots or whatever, which I you know, there's arguments for and against it.
Yeah.
But it is a long since forgotten art where you can get to see a DJ doing a 4 or 5 hour set, and people having the patience, because, you know, some people lifestyles change, so they don't get lost in that journey of you know, artificial energy.
Yes.
You know, plainly put, so they don't get lost in the music as much as they would have done in the past.
Yeah.
So it is a little bit more difficult to get that sweet spot, and
really
yet at
is.
the same time, when you do hit it, then there is nothing sweet.
There's nothing, exactly.
For me, I say it many occasions at Vocal Booth. Every year, I think to myself, this is going to be. I mean, I always do the closing party, but the closing parties are just, you know, sing anthems, sing along that anybody could do with their eyes closed. Beautiful atmosphere, but I always think, can this be the year that I'm arrogant enough to say, right, Saturday night, 3 hours, it's just me on my own, lights down, and I think, no, I can't do that. You know, but I'm going to do it.
But you're going to do it when it's
time.
Yeah, you need to.
You know,
you need
because
to.
it's that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
So again, you know, waxing lyrical, just chatting away.
That's what
because it's
about.
the passion. It's
Exactly.
the passion of, and that's why we started doing this.
Exactly.
And when I talk to you about it, I'm reminded, and I get animated and excited about it. But then, as you well know, because of the conversations we have, it's like, nah, going out and doing that now to general public, it doesn't interest me. It couldn't be anything further from my heart than going and playing to a bunch of people that I don't know anymore.
Exactly. It's not the. Especially if they just want hits and bangers. It's like, oh, you could listen to the radio for that, or, you know, whatever. Like, so yeah, but yeah, that's why I got into it. Like, I just like to be able to have this thing that you can manipulate the energy of mass amounts of people. Not like Donald Trump, but, you know, like just. Like
that's a merchandise idea for you.
But you know what I mean? Just have this energy that you can bring people up, bring them down, and
I think you definitely, obviously, you know, you came and played before, and it was a great set. But last year, whatever the reason, not taking anything away from you, but it was like. Pardon the pun, but it was the perfect storm.
It literally was. The stars aligned, the winds came.
And I think that was the year that you arrived with a lot of the Vocal Booth family with your set. You know, not taking anything away from your previous set.
Yeah.
But that last year, so that was why, okay, let's get Todd to come back, because everyone loved it and they definitely connected with you. Just reading some more comments here. Emily is saying for her it's about sharing vinyl and playing the memories. It's really special. Katrina wants to be taken on a journey, as does Mr. Alders. He's listening. And Mickey C. Hi, Mickey. Nice to see you here. He says it's nice to see Todd telling his story, which reminds me to shut up and let him continue to tell his story.
I mean, we're just going all over the place because we can't stop. I mean, this is, you know.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing as well is there are so many parts to people's journeys.
Absolutely.
To try and, you know, get the definitive timeline down, it's impossible.
It's impossible.
But, you know, so we got to the early 2000s, things started to get better for you, if that's for want of a better word.
Yeah.
You know, Do You Know House was probably one of your crowning glories.
Absolutely.
That would then get you. So were labels knocking on your door for remixes and stuff like that then?
A bit. And at that time, I started doing records with Eric Murillo's with Subliminal as well, and then that changed things a lot as well, because then I started doing other types of music that normally I had started out soulful, and then I started making some music that was more harder, and more loop based, chopped up type of stuff. I remember I did a remix of Bad Habit. Was it for Marilla? I think, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was for Marilla, or was it for Defected? Well, what? No, it wasn't for Defected. It came out on Subliminal, but I did a remix. So at that time, I was getting remixes, good stuff, like really proper remixes and productions. I'm just jumping all over the place.
That's
Don't
okay.
mind me.
Yeah. No, because I asked about the remixes and the picking up momentum. Did you feel?
Absolutely.
Were you aware there was definitely a momentum building?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was getting more bookings. Most of my bookings were in Italy, actually.
Okay.
I had a booking agent, Marco Badini, who I was connected from Sam from way back in the day, because Rap Saunders, that was his booking agent in Italy, and then Sam connected me with him. So I just did a lot of stuff in Italy at that time, for a number of years, and that was cool. That was very cool.
Because the Italian house scene, it was huge, as most people will be aware of. It was actually huge, but unless you went there, it's hard to explain the energy at the parties and with like the Italian MCs.
Yeah. Talking over your stuff. Yeah.
It's I had that experience. I went to Italy. I did a few gigs in Italy. I wouldn't say when I started to go to Italy, it was as Soul Central. So the gigs were a little bit more on the commercial side. It wasn't the kind of a gig that you probably would have got booked to with the really cool crowd. I didn't do Room 22. I didn't do any of those kind of the real places. So yeah, you saying you went to Italy a lot?
Yeah, and I did a lot of cool gigs there. I used to do this party called Doc's Show, which was like very gay.
Okay.
Big, tall, gorgeous men, and some in dresses and stuff like this. But it was this whole energy. There would be dinner first, and then dancing, and it was just like I've never seen anything like this. Still to this day, I don't know where else they do this stuff. But in Italy, these kind of events,
like a cabaret, with your food, yeah,
exactly, man. The fine wine, just like, and then it would get crazy and just, oh man. But anyway, when I was in Italy, I did not many soulful gigs at all. And that's another thing about me when it comes to DJing, and being the fact that I am from New Jersey from many years ago. In New Jersey, we didn't necessarily, a soulful record may be fired up. That would be considered soulful to us in New Jersey. While maybe in New York, that would be considered something totally different.
It's quite pumping.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's soul for us, and it's funny how certain records became soulful that were techno records. I can't think of the name of the record, but stuff that shouldn't be considered soulful, you would find a black crowd all into it. And it happens every once in a while that some type of a techno record will slip in and become it has no words in it or anything, but it's just a certain kind of group.
100 Birds or a standard Jaguar or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how this happens, but it does. But anyway, why was I saying this? I was saying this because
your sets.
My sets.
Vary your sets.
Exactly. In Italy, I've done really tough, hard sets. I'm totally cool with that. I like that music. Like I told you last night, I like techno. I like hard house music. I like the most soulful of soulful music as well. Like, to me, it's all the same. I really don't I don't see this as some, and I think it's because I'm from New Jersey again. Because Tony would play all kinds of stuff. It wasn't just, soulful singing stuff. He would play records that were, stuff that you just wouldn't consider to be soulful, but the crowds were loving this music. It just worked. So that's where I got my education. When I went to New York, this didn't happen. You would never see this type of thing. But this is what I saw Tony do. He would play different styles of music, and it was all good. Like he would play Black Betty, which is a rock, that's a rock record. And then he would play some obscure Detroit techno record, and it just worked.
And this is in the club or on his radio show?
On the radio show, but in the club he would also do it as well. Like there's a song called "The Black Dog." Dun, 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 dun.
I can't think of the thing.
I mean, this is a techno record. Like it's a maybe 135 or something, and then you just slow it way down. And if you heard it, you'd be like, oh, you would get it as soon as you heard it. You'd be like, oh, I could see how this would work. But that type of stuff, it would, and then you would play something that would be a lady singing real soulfully, Alexis P. Suit or something. And it'd be like, wow, this works. So that's where I come from, that type of world. So when I play music, it's just whatever's clever. Whatever, you know what I mean? I'm really not trying to be so contrived. And trust me, before I do a gig, I go through tons of music. All right, I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this. And then you play
the section of it. Last night, coming back to last night, and I was saying, come on, we're gonna, because I wanted to go home.
You really wanted to go home.
And I was like, come on, let's start winding it up now. And you're like, okay. And then we were going to play, and then you were obviously running out of time on the left deck, and then you were scrolling through, and I just saw it, and you put the record, and you're like, oh shit, because you literally probably had 15 seconds on this deck. So then you mix that one in seamlessly, quick, with about like a 5-second cue. And then I was about to come in and say something, and you were like, I'm playing one more. I was like, okay. I didn't want to finish with this.
I didn't want to finish.
Yeah. I was like, okay. No problem. You do what you got to do. And then I was like, okay, you've got the fire. I just walked away. I was like, listen, taking my stuff. I'm going home. Said goodbye to everybody on the stream. Yeah. And then Todd carried on for another hour or so, and I think we've ascertained that Jeff Garcia carried on till 3 a.m. or something.
Exactly.
But
maybe even longer.
Maybe even longer. Dave Elders on just making some comments about long sets. They work particularly well with residencies. When you have the trust from the crowd, you can take them all over the place.
Yep.
He used to love doing 4.5 to 6.5 hours. And Katrina's loved the meeting. Thank you, Katrina. She's got to go and do some work, so you can always catch the back end of this. And Emily again is saying, when you're in the zone, you just can't stop. So absolutely. Thank you to Emily. Doing a lot of live streams and such, so a big expert on that and how to work the crowds. But yeah, I've had some great residencies down the years. So the journey continued. You were still travelling Italy a lot.
A lot of it.
So then, at some point, you were still based in New Jersey as well.
Absolutely. The whole time. I lived in Philly for a couple years of my life, and that's it. Besides that, I've always lived in Jersey until the past 6 years.
So the producing, was there at any point where things started to slow down and you thought, I need to get a job?
Yeah.
Scenario?
Yeah, when they knocked the buildings down in New York.
Okay.
Yeah, that changed everything. The whole World Trade Center thing, I mean, that messed up everything. For everyone, first of all, because you couldn't even travel for a period of time.
Right.
You couldn't fly.
I can't remember.
It was, the 9/11 thing, you couldn't travel for at least a couple months. And it happened.
Really?
Yeah, you could. There were no flights. They just cut off all the air travel.
Right. I didn't remember that.
Oh, really?
Months. I didn't remember.
I think it was at least a couple months.
Well, again, interjecting a very quick story relative to that. Timmy and I had signed a record to Johnny and Nicky on Henry Street that was meant to be coming out the 12th of September. And the pressing plant was around, the distribution centre was around there somewhere.
Wow.
So obviously when all that happened, it just messed that up and everything. So
Wow.
that's why I've very, because this is a really exciting time for us.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple of buildings fell down. Don't worry about that. What's happening with my
That's
record,
exactly.
man?
Come on, we want to release.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So everything changed there. The whole the landscape for the music industry changed totally.
Exactly.
And again, talking about perfect storm, that was the time then of the onslaught of the online, the digital file sharing and all that kind of thing as well. Because again, Lenny has told the story perfectly and recounted the timeline. It's only when you put all the pieces together and you remember, because it was the same time that we had moved just over to Spain around that time, so it's very vivid for myself. We were approached to go on to Traxsource as one of the very first labels, so I remember that was the birth of Traxsource as well.
Really?
The whole Soul Seek, Napster. I never was aware of what Napster was, but in hindsight now I know what it was. I think Soul Seek or Soul Share was a file sharing P2P thing that, I'll be completely honest, at the very beginning I was guilty of getting some files off of and things like that, because I was always a vinyl. But then it was a case of, let me just get some of this stuff, it's easier. And some of my earliest digital collection is like 96 kilobytes per second. I didn't really understand about it all.
We didn't know.
So anyway, I'm sorry. I
No, it's all right.
talking. You saying, so how did it change for you?
The DJ stuff really fell off.
Wow.
Something serious.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Nicky P's just commented into the chat room saying, "What's up, guys? Nice talk. Always good to hear the history." Yes, brother. I hope you just heard me mention your name. Legendary. Absolutely legendary. It's an honour to have you watching, my friend.
Absolutely.
Big up to Nicky P.
I haven't seen Nick in forever.
Yeah, but have you seen the energy now that he's got online?
No.
He's releasing stuff that he's had in the archives. He's making new stuff.
Really?
He's got the fire back again.
That's good.
He's got the fire back again. Okay, so right, we'll get to you saying how everything's changed for you.
Yeah. The whole gigging thing changed a whole lot for me, because for whatever reason, the economy, that's what it was. The economic thing fell apart all over the world at this time. Everything fell apart. Yeah. And it just brought the whole thing down. The gigs weren't happening as much. I don't know what kind of little jobs I was doing. I have no idea what I was doing at that time. But it was the economic situation that really changed everything, because people didn't have money in the world for all this extra entertainment at this time.
But I think that was a few years after. So
was it?
In my broken mind, I can't remember about you specifically. So September 11th was 2001. Right? And then I think that worldwide global crash was 2004, 2005.
Was it really?
I believe so.
I mean, I trust your memory better than mine.
No, I could be wrong. But we could be talking about different times, but that 3 or 4 year period. But I'm assuming you don't mean that you're talking closer to 2001, right?
All I know was in 2001 is when everything went downhill.
Yeah.
But 3-4 years out of 50 is
Yeah.
it's not so many.
So that's the whole kind of period that we're talking about.
Exactly.
Because we decided to create a whole new life for ourselves in a completely different country, and then the arse fell out of the world, and we're here like living hand to mouth.
Yeah.
So again, I have very vivid memories of that timeline.
Got you. And how? Well, now I'm interviewing you. So how was it for you at this time?
Well, it was strange. It was strange for me. I actually don't want to be interviewed, but very quick answer to that was, we just wanted to move abroad for a better way of life for ourselves and the kids. I wasn't necessarily an international touring DJ at the time. I had residencies for Soul Heaven. I had residencies in Birmingham. The whole idea was to come over here, go backwards and forwards every couple of weeks, earn a couple of £100.
Gotcha.
And that was it.
Yeah.
We came over, and then we signed Strings of Life. It wasn't that I earned so much money from Strings of Life that it changed my life, but it actually enabled me then to be the headline DJ, because I had this huge hit that people could put on the radio advertisements, whatever. So that then took me to a next level. So for a short period of time, things were great for me. Then they got better and got better and got better. But the bigger the gigs got, the bigger the crowds got, and the less I enjoyed them. And we're talking about over a course of a few years, to the point that in the end it was just like, you know what, fuck this. Excuse my language. I'm not enjoying this at all. But back to you.
Okay.
Back to you. Nicky's saying. He misses you. It's been way too long.
Very long time.
I'm glad that you hear that, Nicky. Absolutely glad that you hear that, my friend. And Fernando's saying 2008. So as you say, those few years, it is all around that. I think it was actually 2007, the global financial crisis. Had hit. But again, or around there. Not very music related, but it's all part. It's all
part of the story.
It's all relevant to the story, you know.
Absolutely.
So the arse fell out of the DJing for you.
It wasn't so good. At this time, I had started my record labels. I started a record label called Cerex, which was more. That's not even tougher, but it's.
I don't remember that.
You wouldn't even. This kind of music would not necessarily be in your boxes so much. It wasn't tougher, but it was more tracky.
Okay.
And then I started Certified Organic. Actually, around that time. Certified Organic started at around that time, 2001 or 2002.
Okay.
And up until this time, I still have Certified Organic. Cerex has just been shelved. We were doing the label, but not on a regular basis. Once every 3 months, every 4 months, maybe 2 in a row. But it was not the business for me. It was a love. So when we had some good music that I could put out, I would put it out. Currently, I'm actually trying to make it be a real label, so to speak. Very scheduled, very But that's another story we can talk about later. During that period of time, things weren't so good financially with the DJing. And I'm trying to think, 2010 and 2020. Let's get to a little bit more recent times. I moved, as you know, from New Jersey to Germany with my wife and children. For ironically, the same reasons you moved to Spain.
Okay.
And my wife was German, so it made sense to go to where I had a funny feeling that there would be some issues in the United States going forward back for many years. So, and I had an opportunity to move the children, so we did. So my life in the past 6 years has been very different than it had been, living in America for all those years. But I've still been doing a little bit of music still. It's different than it used to be in terms of, when we make music now, you can get some money from it. But when we used to make music, you would get money from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was a job. It was a business. And now, it's not the same. So it's hard for me anyway to live off of making records. It's not.
I know it's and there's a thousand. That's the whole different conversation that you could have, about the whys, the hows, the pitfalls, because there's got to still be highs and lows in it. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. It's got to be rewarding.
Exactly.
The whole statement about a labour of love. That just didn't happen overnight. People have been saying that for years because it's something. It's within you that you just have to do it.
Absolutely.
You have to do it because it's what you are, and you sacrifice. We sacrifice. Other gains, financial gains maybe, for the reward that you get from exercising the creativity from you. You know what I mean? Exactly. If I can put it as poetically as that.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it is, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
So whatever your creative avenue is.
Yep.
Whether it's making music, whether it's playing music, or whether with myself going down the graphic design route, I get just as much enjoyment from being able to put this documents together and things like that, because it's still my slant on something.
Yes.
And especially if you you know, you can take pride in yourself, because there is a level of pride has to be involved.
Absolutely.
I don't know whether sometimes, because you know I'm a Gemini and I say, oh God, am I being a little bit too self-absorbed? Patting myself on the back, aren't you good? Look what you did.
Yeah.
I do have that
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of the time. You know, I don't need it from other people.
Yeah.
But I like to give myself praise every now and again.
Yeah, which
You know
is
what I mean?
which is perfectly.
I think most
fine.
people do.
Absolutely.
You know, if they'd be lying if they said they don't. Well, at least I kid myself. No, I'm not completely broken. Please back me up. You know.
No, absolutely, man. You need that. And speaking of which, the past 2 years, of course, it's been.
Sure.
It's just unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy times. So yeah, it's a lot of, and you do the mental health, you know, program. Like, I mean, this is the crazy world we're living in right now. You know, so it's the fact that we have this little escape, this vocal booth escape, for me once a year. This is, I need it.
Yeah.
And I missed during that 1 year, the first year.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's been rough. It's been rough.
There's light at the end of the tunnel, though, right?
Absolutely.
We believe we're almost on the. Are we on the precipice, or the precipice is behind us? I don't know what the analogy is. You know,
Yeah. Right there.
Or are we there, or are we there? I don't know.
Don't know, yeah. We're going for the ride, though. That much I do know.
Without a shadow of a doubt, it's a ride. Black Wax, he says, I'm watching on my phone, which is a bit weird because they're sitting in the room next door. I would bring Steve onto the camera, but he's not a pretty sight, to be fair. Come and say hello if you want, Steve. Feel free to come in and wave to everybody if you want to. Love him. It was absolutely fantastic seeing you enjoying yourself last night, brother.
Good set.
Yeah, a great set, a really great set. The mixes are already up on Mixcloud, that you can check it out. There's already some of the footages on YouTube, some of the videos on Facebook as well already, so it's all out there to see. And I already thanked you publicly last night for coming over. You made it so easy to coordinate.
Yeah.
And you know, thank you to everybody that sent in their donations as well throughout the stream. We took a fair few donations yesterday, which is gonna pay for our food this evening. Yeah. So thank you to everybody that helped to contribute towards that. We're going to be having a nice meal, Todd and Michelle and I tonight, and Steve in the house. So you know, that's fantastic. So yeah, is there any parts of the story that we might have missed, you think?
I mean, there's plenty.
There's so much more.
Yeah, there's so much more
to what went on.
Yeah, there is. Let me just think of something that's significant, very significant.
Is that really loud?
Watch the mic feed.
If you've not long been here, I've been sat about 15 minutes before we began. I ate some chicken pasta tomato that Michelle made, and literally, how long have we been on air? For 90 minutes. My stomach's rumbling. I'm going to be mortified. It might not pick it up as much as I think.
I hope not, bro. I'm just saying.
Stop it.
We've been on the air for 90 minutes.
90 minutes.
Sounds like it feels like we just started talking.
Yeah, that's the beauty.
I love this. Yeah.
You know, that's why. I. You know, it's so talking about the whole creativity thing and the enriching, and it's something you have to do. You know, I do these things. There's no end goal to it. I'm not promoting anything. I'm not pushing anything. I very rarely ever mention vocal booth or anything like that, because fortunately over the years we've built up such a strong fan base even sounds disrespectful
family
to
base.
the family.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
to say fan base, and everybody knows my genuine passion and love. And every week on the radio show, when I stand there and my bottle of wine is consumed, and I have to tell people how much I love them time and time again, because it doesn't become any less true.
Yeah.
The more I say it, it's still just as true now than it was 10 years ago.
Absolutely.
The fact that I continue to say it, sometimes I think, people have heard this so many times. It's like, but there's going to be a time where they're not going to be able to hear it, so I'm going to just keep telling them.
Man, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
So, and that becomes more apparent that You know, as life goes on, and you lose those close to you, people who you are really close friends with, or family, or even just comrades.
Absolutely.
You know, it's all relevant. And that, again, this is going off the musical conversation, but the whole journey of life. And I mean, 50 years of age, who would have thought it? Do you know what I mean?
When I was a kid, if you would have talked to me about 50, I'd be like, what?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Can't even imagine such things.
I've said on one or two occasions, having conversations with people, that we would be in a club at 18, 19 years of age, and you'd see somebody. It was a different era then, of course, but you'd see a guy of 30 something in the corner. You go, look at that sad bastard.
Exactly.
Look at that sad guy. His shirt and his tie on, pervert in the club. You know. And there's us now, like 50 years of age, in the DJ booth. My daughter was there yesterday, and some of her friends came, and one of the guys came up to me and went, man, he said, you guys are so cool. I think he was just being polite to Michelle and I. I don't know why I gave him an American accent, because he wasn't American at all. But he said, you know, you guys are so cool, man. I talked to Drew, and can't believe this is what you do. And it's like, this is what we do. This is what we did. We built this. You guys think you own the weekend, but we created it for you.
Absolutely.
You know, and you're only following. And that's one of the frustrations that I get. I don't talk negatively very often on air, but one of the frustrations for me is the fact that the younger generation and the new kids on the block get so much adoration from the younger kids and the press and everything, and it's just like, but they're not doing anything any different than what we've been doing for so long.
Exactly.
You know, what's that noise? Oh, it's a neighbour next door. Fernando saying it's all right. I couldn't hear anything. The rumbling of the stomach.
Good.
Fantastic. Even though I've mentioned it about 20 times. It's really loud. Trust me, it's really loud. We were just talking about being old, getting old, the younger generation. I would really struggle, not that anyone's asking me to go and play for them, but I would really struggle to go and play to a younger audience now, because I'd just be second guessing myself all the time, thinking, are they enjoying this? Are they enjoying this? Unless I was like, you know, absolutely blind drunk, vodka tonics out my brains, just letting myself go, which is like I'm a different person. You know, that's a totally different era now.
Exactly.
It doesn't appeal to me at all in the slightest. And yet, we spoke about Southport in a few weeks' time. Watch out, because oh my gosh,
smashing it.
Yeah. Just watch out.
Yeah, every once in a while, I'm sure this is a great outlet to be able to actually.
Well, I have I get my satisfaction every week doing the radio show here. So we were saying about pivotal moments, things that you think you might have forgotten about. Afterwards, you're going to be like, oh my God, I forgot this and I forgot that.
Yeah, man.
So, but you do regular, you put out not regular mixes. Or do you have a regular schedule? Do you do a weekly show every week? Or
no.
It's guests that I saw you
a lot
doing?
of guests. And
because I know you shared links a while. So where can people go and check out the most recent stuff for you?
Okay, so I have toddgardner.net and I have certifiedorganic.com. Organic is with a K.
Okay.
On Certified Organic, this is where you can see all of the mixes from everyone that's affiliated with the label, not just on the label. And on toddgardner.net, you can see whatever I'm up to or doing.
Okay, so that's basically like a blogging website where you're sharing all your updates. And so, are you most prolific on SoundCloud or Mixcloud or whatever?
Mixcloud. I use hearthis.at, Mixcloud, and then I'm on every other Deezer.
Okay.
Tons and tons and tons of other under Certified Organic though.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm on so many different platforms with the podcasting. It's crazy. I can't think of what all these names are right now.
Podomatic.
Tune, Podomatic. I'm not on Podomatic.
Okay.
TuneIn, Deezer, Amazon, Amazon Radio or something like that. It's like 20.
I'm of the belief that the more you're on, the more it dilutes.
It does, because less people are going to just focus on one. You're right. And that's something I've been thinking about that as well, because there are so many that, the chance of you spreading it thinner
Yeah,
is going to happen.
But the thing is as well, there's everyone's vying for the same 3 minutes of attention span that people have nowadays. Even the older generation, you know, it sounds crazy to say the older generation, our generation, that, you know, we are prone to have slightly more of an attention span than the younger kids. You got no chance. You know, that's why it's no coincidence that your TikToks and your Snapchats, that is a 30-second or a 15-second.
Yep.
Because it's just like bang, 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 punchlines. And that's why you hear the DJ sets the way they are. Absolutely. It's like punchline, bang, hi, yes, hi, and it's, you know, that.
Absolutely.
So it comes back to when Dave Alders was saying, yeah, give me a journey, man, give me the peaks, the troughs. Paulette, good afternoon. She says, such an entertaining interview, so good to hear the backstory. Indeed, yeah, it's been nice having a one-on-one, face-to-face. I'm just looking at the screen over there in front of me. I totally forgot how small I look in this little chair.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all hot. Yes. And you're the guy who towers over me when I'm standing up. Yeah.
I should have come.
Well, it's a good thing you didn't put me in the chair, because then it was...
I'd have been like, so. We're going to continue chatting all afternoon here. But I think for the interview's sake, you think we covered everything?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we've covered as much as there's always more, but
until the white wine comes out later, and then we'll start talking even more.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'll say thank you for allowing me to do this with you. It would have been a ridiculous shame to have not captured the opportunity to do it face to face.
And as always, I just thank you for allowing me to, you know, be part of the family, to be able to do it.
You're welcome, man. We, you know, I get a lot of thanks from a lot of people who give me credit for, you know, giving them opportunities. But that's all I do. I provide opportunities,
yes.
And then the people step up to the plate, and then it's all their hard work, it's their talent, it's everything else. So thank you. You know, it's very, very rewarding for me, and long may it continue. Yeah, this is the part where we touch fists and we say goodbye to everybody. I go into the kitchen and I let out all of this wind.
Ooh, and that's when I'm going to leave, because he's going to handle it.
Okay, so let me just see. A few people have been passing in. Nicky's still with us. I'm blown away that Nicky's given us his time. Generally, I am, Nicky. You know, I hold you in such high esteem. He says, imagine we've been making music for 30 years or more. It's absolutely crazy.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Someone says, howdy, I can't see who that is. John says, it's nice, as always, to hear the backstory. And Emily finishes off saying, music is the answer. Thank you. The last Monday of January 2021, it's February tomorrow. Have you all got paid now? You got dough? Yes, it's nice. Okay, I'm just going to wrap up and say thank you for being here, guys. Thanks to Todd again.
Thank you for having me.
If you're watching the recording, feel free to leave comments. Todd will be tagged. He'll be able to come back and read your comments at some other time and reply to them whenever he wants to. Go and check him out. Yeah, see you later.